Hello, my dear friend. It is so nice to see you again, even though we're not together like we were on Monday. Thank you so much for helping me out with this.
Yay! I'm so excited.
This is like literally couldn't be better timing because I just found out that my whole new novel, which like it's real tight, it's real ready, but there's a whole editorial development process that needs to happen. And
Mm.
I was led to believe I had until mid September, and I just found out I have until mid July.
Oh dear.
So literally starting Monday, I need to get because I had some vacations planned this summer. So this couldn't be better times because although I'm like pumped up to get back to these edits, I don't have certain like plot. So I mean not plot, the plot's there, but the texturization that I need to do at this point, my agent and I have worked so hard together that we need a time out from each
Yeah,
other.
yeah,
And my editor is definitely going to step in, but I'm so grateful. So if this works for you, I
yeah.
have two principal problems.
Okay.
I mean, problems is maybe a negative way to speak. Challenges, right?
Opportunities.
Opportunities. I have two fictional opportunities here. Um, and I feel confident that you can help me put some fresh gas in my tank so I can start editing. Does that work for you?
Oh my gosh, it works.
It
I
works.
mean,
Okay.
come on. You're the only person I know who said when they were in third grade that they were going to do something for a living and actually did it. So this
Yeah.
is an honor for me. And just like I'm
State
a
of my
coach,
mind.
this is what I do for a living.
Yeah.
And so the opportunity to take a character and coach
Yeah.
the character to me is like so cool and so fun because I know all the ways that it's supposed to be structured and there's supposed to be this moment and
Right.
you
Yeah.
did help me learn a little bit about the language,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to try and like understand story beats and all that sort of stuff.
Right. You're not going to be like, oh, Courtney, why don't you change perspective and write it in the second person?
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
so it's perfect. So I gave you kind of the overview of the plot
Yep.
on Monday, but effectively we have a couple chapters in the husband's voice, Alan, a couple chapters in the wife's voice, Vivian.
Vivian.
It's 2024 in Greenwich, Connecticut, a place that we both know very well because we grew up there. Um, Drank our Zimas in Belhaven, where the book is based, literally drank Zima. Um, so
Which is not, I think, even still on the market to buy. Like, I'm pretty sure that's poison.
I
Okay.
think it was pulled off real quick. So, okay, so the the first opportunity
Yep.
that I'm looking at is this this book, unlike my first novel, right? I'm having so much fun here without you, which specifically looks at what was supposed to be a monogamous marriage
Hmm.
that became unmonogamous because dude was really cheating in a like he was about to leave his wife for this other woman, but then the other woman said, "No, thank you, I don't want you." And
Right.
that book's about him trying to win his lawfully wedded wife back. This marriage in Alan Ops Out is it's functioning. There is no infidelity, and I truly believe, like my guy Alan, head of a very successful advertising company, so he's whining and dining a lot, but I really do see him as a like sexually faithful person, and I think that's important. they they have been in a so they're it's sort of like the uncoolest thing right now, right? Like heterosexual, straight,
Monogamous.
monogamous marriage, and in 2025, like that's not what the cool kids are doing.
Yep.
So I'm actually kind of excited by the challenge of investigating that, like writing about it the way I might have written about polyamory 10 years ago, right?
Okay. That's helpful.
So they, however, when the book opens, they're kind of ships passing in the night, right? Like Alan is an absolute workaholic.
Yep.
Vivian is pretty much a stay-at-home mom. There's two daughters, 15 and 11. The 15-year-old is a lot, quite cantankerous. The 11-year-old seems to be going through something. It's a little unclear what. And so
What's the
Vivian's
sexes of the kids?
they're both girls, and they both identify as girls for the time being. The 15-year-old could be on the fence in
Okay.
terms of her sexuality, but it's it's not a thing in the book. She's mostly, what we're dealing with the girls is kind of what I told you about Vivian's overall arc, where
Yep.
she came from a very lower income, kind of frenetic, unstable household in Indiana, and has now been kind of thrust into an extremely wealthy enclave of Greenwich. And it's kind of key that it's 2024 when the book opens. Her family, they've only been in the East Coast, but in Greenwich for 4 years. And
Okay.
two of those were total pandemic.
Okay.
So she's only just kind of year and a half, 2 years, really able to kind of strut her stuff. The country club's open again. She's back out on the town, right? So she missed out on. She's sort of behind the times here, or whatever the expression is. So, but when she landed in Greenwich, like she'd done all the research, and instead of listening to her kids, who very much wanted to go to the public school, Greenwich High, which still exists, where the older daughter Bailey, she's super super into theater,
Okay.
and they have an amazing theater program and just a more diverse. I mean, it's bigger. Everything was going to work for her really well there, but Vivian wants to keep up with the Joneses, right? And all of the Bellport women. So I renamed Bellhaven Bellport. Um, they would never dream of sending their child to public school, even though it's really well rated. So her kids have to have the best of the best, even though it's not what they want. And so, an example with the younger daughter, Sunny, is that she really loves animals and horses. So her mom kind of took that and right away put her into a very competitive show jumping barn. I'm sure some of this is speaking to you. Whereas really what she wants to do is kind of just pet them and lean on them and
Equine therapy, not
equine therapy, yeah, or just like clean out, just muck. But
yeah.
all of a sudden she's at all these shows, and so the kids are a little bit in over their head, and Vivian's very much in a place where her love language is financial, so she's
Mhm.
covering the girls completely materially.
Yep.
All those bases are covered, but then they don't have like downloads together at the end of the day. She's not connecting with them um, I don't know, on a more meaningful manner. And with her husband, it's a little bit like that too. Like
Yep.
she's keeping the house stunning. The way I have it now is she grew up, her mom, I might change this, but the way I have it now is her mom was a hoarder.
Yep.
And so Vivian does not have a house cleaner because she's weird about people seeing her interior space. So I make a point of her cleaning her own house.
Okay.
So sparkling clean house. Oh, the fridge is always full. She always looks like amazing, regardless of whether it's Pilates. She always looks apart.
Yep.
She manages their social calendar. She's
Yep.
doing all that stuff. But she and Alan are not exactly hanging 10 together at this point. And I haven't, and we could definitely talk about this in this draft right now. I haven't really gotten into whatever their sexual life is currently. It's not a situation where they hate each other and they're
Yep.
never having sex, but I've sort of tiptoed around that issue, and I want to see if we can unearth something in her psychological wound. So the principal, this is kind of everything she's got going on. And then, so as I mentioned, her quest is, I mean, she has two quests, but
That's a writing term.
yeah,
Yes.
one
Quest.
the thing this book takes place over a summer in 2024, and the thing she really wants is to get accepted to this private women's club called the Queen Anne's, where they choose 3 people every summer to do what's effectively like hazing, except instead of beer, keg stands, they're doing floral arrangements, right, and things like that. So she's desperate to make it in as a permanent member of the Queen Anne's. Her entire summer is orientated toward that, and her girls are going to summer camp. So she's like, "This is it. This is my summer. I've now been out and about post COVID. Like, time to fucking shine, right?"
Okay, got it.
So and then her husband, as I mentioned, is trying to win the U.S. dairy account. So they both are on their quests, and the girls and stuff are sort of falling through the cracks.
Yep.
So the first challenge is how I want to put like a lot of the notes are, hey, let's get a love renaissance for these people. They don't need to be like screwing every night, like falling madly back in love. But, at a 20-year mark in a committed marriage, how have they lost each other
Yep.
in ways that are a little bit more interesting than like they're busy, she
Yep.
goes to bed earlier. So that's my first question, is like
Okay.
brainstorming, how have they lost each other, and how could they come back to each
Yep.
other, and
Okay.
also like sexually, like what's going on.
Okay. I got it. Okay. So you want to start with that before you tell me the
I
second?
do want to start
Okay.
yeah.
So let me just do what I do,
Yeah,
and
do it.
you can tell me to be quiet, and you can
I
tell me
won't.
not to do it this way.
I
But
won't. I'll get excited. I'll
so
hear.
one of the things I love when I'm coaching somebody is not the person I'm coaching. It's when they tell me about their husband or their
Yeah.
colleague at work, and it's somebody I don't get to know.
Okay.
And so I'm always like, yes, let's dig deeper. Like
Yeah.
what's their backstory? Have some empathy, have some understanding. So you stated some things to me that I already had questions about.
Okay. Hit me.
So I just want to say this because we're going to use similar language but different, right? So
Okay.
what you guys call kind of like the ghost in my
Yeah.
world, that's the gremlin. I just want to
Yeah.
explain
Love
what
it.
the gremlin is. So the ghost, what the ghost is it's not the devil on your shoulder and the angel on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Your ghost, everybody has a ghost, and it's the voice inside their head that tells them some iteration of I'm not good enough, I'm not
Okay.
skinny enough, I'm not rich enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not tall enough, I'm not this enough, I'm not that enough. Alan has one,
Yeah.
right? So does Vivian. And
Yeah.
it stems from childhood,
Yep.
which I have some ideas about. It stems from childhood, and then it becomes the thing that you want to make sure no one ever finds out about you.
Okay.
So it's the
Okay.
depth of your motivation
Okay.
in your life is to make sure no one ever knows that you're, and I use this example, politics aside, but not really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Donald Trump, many
Mhm.
people may look at him as being very bravado and very confident and
Yeah.
very arrogant. He's got so much self-esteem. That man thinks he's a loser.
Yeah.
And he will do
I would agree,
everything
but
in his power, quite
yeah,
literally,
yeah, to make people think he's
to
a
make
winner.
people think
Yeah.
he's a winner.
100%.
Right. And so all I want to do is sit down with Donald Trump and be like, I'm sorry that you were told that you were a loser as a kid.
Yeah.
Like, stop acting out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It manifests in everything he does, from marrying 3 different women that are one's blonder and prettier and skinnier and more model than all of it tracks with one central wound.
Yeah.
So what we're doing here is we're trying to understand Vivian's central wound and
Yeah.
how
Which is my second question. So actually, we'll just tackle everything at once.
so I'm gonna like kind of I'm getting really excited, you guys.
Yeah,
I'm getting
I love
excited to move around.
it.
I
Let's
don't know
go.
who you guys is, but like this is what I do.
Well,
So
the books in my background, the books in your background, one
yeah,
of which,
by
a
the way,
couple of which I wrote. Yeah, love it. Thank you.
so I'm gonna download you for a second and then
Yeah.
we'll pick it apart. And you may hate this because
No,
I'm gonna start
I'm not.
questioning so you're
I'm
told
ready.
me, and this is very interesting to me. You said it's a functioning marriage, meaning there's not infidelity, as
Yeah.
if that's the definition of a functional
Yeah.
marriage.
Good. Good
Says
catch.
who?
Says who? Okay.
Says who? Okay, I'm going to download all this and then we'll bring it back together.
Okay.
And that, yes, we live in an age where it's like a monogamous relationship, huh? But I
Yeah.
have to be honest, in a town like Greenwich, Connecticut, no
Yeah.
one's admitting there's any other type of marriage than
Okay.
a monog. I mean, they might be doing it,
Yeah. So
but
that's just an ego thing with me that I'm like, oh, I'm doing like a white lady book or
yep,
something.
yep. That
Okay.
character, that's still of the ilk of we look perfect, we are perfect, our house is perfect, everything's perfect.
Yeah.
The 2 ships passing in the night. One way to also think about that is that they're both on their own mission.
Yes.
He's
Totally.
got to make money because that's his gremlin from his childhood, that you have to be powerful, you have to take care of your family, you have to make X amount of money and live in
But he also, more than her, he loves his job. He loves
Okay.
advertising. It's not he came from middle class, lower middle class, but he doesn't have the stuff around money that she does. He loves it. He's great at what he does. He wins all the time. So it comes from a more, I guess, positive place.
And you know what? I don't know that it's necessarily positive, but what I
Yeah.
do know is that he's getting recognition and
Yeah.
validation, and
And
that
money.
makes him and that makes him feel good,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we'll get more to her in a second,
But
but
he's not the person, like, he doesn't even want to, he doesn't want to go to, he didn't want to join the country club. He doesn't want the girls at the private school. Um, because he's like, if it had been a shitty public school, sure, but he's like, it's a perfectly good school. The club, like, their sirloin is awful. Like, who gives?
you want Vivian to be a likable character.
I People do need, for the book to work, they need to root. They do need to root for
So we
her.
can't make it that basic of like Alan is altruistic and he really loves what he does and he doesn't have
No,
any money and
yeah, no,
Vivian is
not
like
not
money obsessed.
not really. For it to really work, there has to be a wound in her
Okay,
past that we
so here we go.
forgive her for. Yeah.
Okay, so I identify in my own childhood of being a byproduct of this is what success looks like.
Mm-hmm.
A married parents with a beautiful home and the kids like
Okay.
toe the line of they are the manifestation of that success.
Yeah.
So what we're describing here is someone who defines herself as a stay-at-home mom, but really these children are just a vehicle for her. And
Mm.
that's not something she would ever admit,
No, no, definitely
right?
not.
Because she's supposed to be the definition of success in her world is to not work and be raising your children. But really,
Totally.
her
Right.
children need to be a certain way. And this one needs to, ride horses, not just enjoy mucking the stall, which by the way resonated deeply. I got in a horse riding accident really young at
Yeah.
summer camp, and I spent the whole summer mucking the
Uh-huh.
stalls and not riding a horse. And
You're like, this is where it's at.
yeah, and there was a person in my family who was like, I paid for you to muck
Yeah.
stalls for the summer. Okay.
Right. Right. And that's very much where Vivian is, because the daughter starts saying, like, Mommy, I don't want to ride. I don't think horses should be ridden. And she's like, I just bought you a $7,000 saddle that you will be sitting in.
Right. And
You
she's like,
know,
why do I even need this? I don't
yeah.
even want to ride. But it feels, what I'm trying to say is
Yeah.
from Vivian's point of view, remember, it feels altruistic. Her core
Yes. Okay.
root.
That's important.
Okay. So I'm going to jump all over the place a
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
bit. That's okay. Let me touch on all these things, then I want to go back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, in the same way that Sunny does, and that Bailey may be questioning her sexuality, like
Mhm.
that's how much it wouldn't be okay. It wouldn't be weird for them to be in a monogamous relationship.
Okay.
Like, we are not in a culture or society here in
Okay.
Greenwich at Bellport where we're like questioning our sexuality and what our
Right. We
pronouns.
don't have sex swings in the living
No.
room.
And
Okay.
maybe we do, but only if you're like with that scene. But you would
Sure.
never admit that
Yeah. Okay.
at the club, at the private school. You would never be admitting that we swing.
No.
We have to make it look right.
Yeah.
So, one thing that I think is important, not just to Vivian, but to the characters is, did Greenwich come out from underneath the pandemic with a little bit more kindness and softness, or did
Mhm.
everyone come right back after the pandemic, back to the club, back to the society, back to the private
Yeah.
school and all of that?
The way I'm depicting this Greenwich is not exactly the one we grew up with. It is kinder and softer.
Okay, beautiful. I
Yeah.
love that. Okay.
And so the women, what's funny is that Vivian is sort of preparing herself for the front lines of battle, expecting the women to be kind of bitchy and mean girls.
She has
And
imposter syndrome.
she has imposter syndrome, and they're not. I mean, some people are a little tough, but there's like one specific villain character named Whitby who, um, is a is kind of a nasty queen bee, but she's got her own shit going on, so
Correct.
you can even root for her. Whitby's like fine,
She's
but
very
yeah,
correct.
one of Vivian's problems is this imposter syndrome where she just is assuming that she's less
Okay.
than and people can see it and so on and so
Okay.
forth.
Super duper duper important. So all of that, and the Queen Anne's and all that. I
Yeah.
was taught how to arrange flowers as a child, just to be clear that
Oh,
you're not
yeah.
making this stuff up. This stuff
No.
is true. So I want to get into the childhood wound, and it's going to
Yeah.
take a little while,
Yeah.
okay? Because what doesn't make sense to me
Yeah.
is if her mother was a hoarder.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a lot of questions in a second, but if the mom's a hoarder and they were in a low income situation, but the mom's a hoarder, we're dealing with mental illness on top of
Yep,
financial situations and maybe a very unstable financial environment where the mom's
totally.
buying stuff, even though there's not enough money to pay the bills.
Yeah.
There's this friction in that,
And
right?
that's something I forgot to mention is that Vivian has a little consumption problemo. So
Buying.
she buys beyond what's
Yep.
necessary.
Yep.
She has an actual place in the house where she stockpiles things, which yeah, we can go back and forth. But so the way and the um, I kind of need her because it's a pretty essential to plot. She's not it's not crazy. It's like she'll see an Instagram ad and buy a new curler, even though just last week she got a curler. It's not
That's more
insane.
keeping up with the
Yeah,
Joneses. I
it's not
think
no, yeah, it's not hoarding. It's sort of like she's got an Instagram ordering
okay.
problem. She has a vision board issue, like she's
Okay.
buying things for a pool she doesn't own. But the way I have her home life um can be altered because the backstory parts that I had told you my agent made me really condense this
Yeah.
for submission. I've already talked to my editor. I have the go ahead to I can make the book longer.
Yeah.
So I can change the way the backstory is. But the way I had it is that, and it's a bit murky. I'm not super happy with how it's done, but the way I have it is that Vivian had a slightly older brother growing up. He was super athletic, just never home. That's how he kind of
Right.
escapes through sports. Her dad is an oil rig worker. And I mean, she sees him like 3 weeks a year. So she never really had, uh,
And it's a dangerous job. It's not
and
only
it's a super dangerous job. So, and she doesn't even understand where he could be on the moon,
yeah.
like Qatar. None of it makes sense. She doesn't geographically understand where her dad is. And they she's supposed to be about our age. So when she was little, he wasn't calling on the cell phone and doing FaceTime. He was just sort of a
Gone.
non they
Yeah.
basically have no relationship whatsoever. And so she never had a mom and dad kind of relationship modeled for her. And then you hit it on the head. Like it's sort of like a vague, like hoarding adjacent, mental health adjacent.
I got
Um, but for the book to work, probably I need to drill harder into financial instability.
Okay, so here's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
If someone was describing like, oh, my mother-in-law, she's such a pain in the ass, she's this and that, and I start asking, tell me about your mother-in-law. Like,
Yeah.
where did she grow up? What's going on? Okay, so what we have here is a pretty classic example of a female that doesn't have male, um, sort of male counterparts or role models. Her
Yeah.
father's gone, her brother, a
Yeah.
bit, so she feels abandoned. And then on top of that, she's left holding the bag of this mother. Her brother doesn't really partake in that. He doesn't really help at all.
Yeah.
And her mother, because this is generational stuff, it's called trauma, it's not with a capital T, but her mother feels abandoned. Her mother married this man and had these kids for him because that's what you're supposed to do. And he's gone all the time. And the father's argument would be, well, I've got to support the family. And her argument's probably like, not on an oil rig.
Right.
Like, we live in Indiana. What are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
So as he leaves more on her plate, the more she gets desperate about money because she doesn't know, because the money doesn't come in all the time. They're on an oil rig. You'd have to research that, but I assume it
Yeah.
like drops in your account. And so the mom's in this scarcity mindset, right?
Yeah.
I have to protect what I have. I don't know if he'll ever come back. And when he does come back, what it's going to look like. And she's
Mm,
sharing that stuff with Vivian as a child.
that's really
He's
well done. Yeah.
instilling this fear of like, you need a man to take care of you, number one. Number two, you have to stretch the dollar because they're not really around. Like they're around theoretically because they're doing
Yeah.
what a man's supposed to do, which is provide income for the family. But they're not emotionally there. And Vivian has watched her mother completely fall apart under sort of the tutelage of having to run the family at home.
Yeah.
And her brother has run away from it. Her father's run away from it. So she's got a few messages here. One is, I need a man, and
Yeah.
I need a man who makes stable money. And of course, I'm not going to cheat on him or have him cheat on me because I need him at home. I
Yeah.
need my man to be around
Oh,
me,
that's so good. Yeah.
to be my emotional rudder.
Yeah.
And also, part of the hoarding feeling is chaos, lack of
Yes.
control.
Yeah.
forget the like it's dirty or gross. It's the chaos of it, and
Yeah.
seeing her mother kind of fall into this pseudo mental illness, maybe full blown mental illness. And we're not looking at a hoarding situation where like you can't go in the
I think
bathroom.
I'm going to dial back the mental illness, and because when you introduce a mental illness, it takes up a lot of oxygen in the room, and if it's a side character, I think she can have stress. The mother can have stress,
Yeah,
but
she's
it
manifesting her stress through
yeah
hoarding, but
yeah
it's the primal fear is money.
yes yeah. I think that's where I'm going to position this, and then I can give her some kind of job. I mean, the mom is, I think, it's a part-time teacher, something.
I
Because
feel like she's
no,
a
you
school
don't think
bus
so?
driver.
You think what?
She's a school bus driver.
That's what I told you that I have her
Oh,
now.
and it reminds me of my ex-husband's mom was a school bus driver, and she was kind of like
Ah, that's
that.
probably why yeah. Right now I have her as a school bus driver, but she's so constantly kind of unwell
Yeah.
that she is barely unable to
Yep.
drive it. But
I think that's part of the stress for Vivian because, like, her
yeah,
mom is supposed to be working, but she's not really. So they really are solely dependent on the father's money coming in, but he's on an oil rig somewhere. Who knows
yeah,
if he's ever coming back? So, but part of this is
hmm
Vivian's wound from childhood is very important to express. She was taught that you need a man,
okay,
but
yeah,
she was also taught that you can't necessarily rely on them completely. And so, what she needs, and I think the hoarding, the reason why it's valuable, if that's what you keep, is that it's shameful. She
yes,
doesn't
yeah,
bring anybody home. Her mom, is supposed to be driving the school bus, but sometimes she doesn't even wake up in time to do it because
yeah,
she's up all night, whatever, whatever, whatever. And it's not about mental illness so much as this is her mom's coping mechanism
yeah.
for the fear and anxiety that's going on. So, and the older brother, she just feels abandoned by all the men in her life.
Okay,
And that's a really key part of this. And what she sees at home is this woman who's trying to make it work but doesn't have enough money. And it's pulling her into like a literally chaotic,
yeah, yes, okay,
unmanageable home environment. So she gets out of there as fast as she can. And she has the belief that most people on the planet Earth have that, one gift we got from growing up in a town like this one is that we know that money doesn't buy happiness and it doesn't
yes.
buy security. But when you don't have that, it's a
Yeah.
primal, visceral feeling is
You're
that
like, of course it's going to buy happiness. It's going to
I
buy me a
need
house. Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
And what would make me happy? Having money, having a home, having a nice home,
A
having
nice
kids.
home,
So
clean.
that's right. So that's
Yeah.
fueling all of this. So part of it to me is this sort of like, um, so in terms of a sexual life, just to pause on
Yeah.
that for a minute, she feels very inferior to Alan, and
Yeah.
she feels like she needs him. So their sex life is probably a little bit of her thinking, I got to keep having sex with him because that's my role as a wife. And we all know that if you don't give your husband sex, he'll get it elsewhere.
Okay.
So she may not be enjoying the sex, but she's providing it for him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can picture her like putting on her hand cream and then being like, okay, I got to go give my husband a blowjob because,
Yeah.
I read that, like, if you keep
I
it,
actually have pictured her more as someone who has sexual appetites she's too scared to
no,
reveal.
it's the same thing. It's the
Yeah.
same thing.
Okay.
So, and I know this because this is part of my story is
Yeah.
that I was taught, and Vivian was definitely taught this in some way that, like, if you need sex, you're very vulnerable.
Okay.
So she has
Oh,
this
I love that. That opens up something for me. Yeah.
thing where she secretly enjoys sex, but as it relates to Alan, she's got to keep his bank account full of sex so that he doesn't have any desire when he's in New York City at these boozy lunches or whatever his
Mm-hmm.
ad life is, or traveling for work, that he's like, oh, but I got the good stuff at home. And it's not that she doesn't enjoy sex or her sexuality. It's almost like one's a job and one is like,
Yeah.
one is like, so she'll be whatever he needs her to be. So if he likes a little kink, she's into a little kink.
Yeah.
If he likes it straight and missionary, so does she. It doesn't mean she's not fantasizing or
Yeah.
watching porn or doing something else that's different, but this is part of her job. Her
But
job,
she's not centering her desires.
no, 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 no. Her job is to keep her husband because if
Yeah.
she keeps her husband, she keeps this thing that she believes is true. If you have money, if you have a happy marriage, if you support your husband who's making the money, then you're going to be happy,
Okay.
right? So In terms of her being weird about the interior space, I'm not feeling that
Hmm.
as much.
Oh, for like the cleaning lady, you mean not
Yeah,
hiring
so
a
here's
cleaning?
what I do see as
Yeah,
being something that she would do. I do see her having a fabulous formal living room and dining room, and that she allows people coming into these spaces that are
yeah.
decorated to the nines and that are perfect, and that the rest of the house is sparsely decorated.
Mm.
That's separate from the like the fridge is full.
Or
The
a mess. Like the way I have it now is she does have this like absolutely perfect receiving area, which
exactly.
by the way, she never entertains.
Of course not.
Like, because she
It's
doesn't
just
actually have
costume.
friends and
Yeah.
Alan's tired when he gets home. So that she never entertains,
This
which
is
is part of the major stress with joining the Anns because the big final thing is that you have to host a massive party.
oh, that just clicked something for me.
Yeah.
So why is it now she has the money? Why is she still fixated? Because what she didn't have in childhood was acceptance. She got kind of dumped into her mom's lap. Her brother got to go off, her dad went off, but she didn't probably have that same extent of a social life because she had to go home to her like blah 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 blah. All she ever wanted to do was be one of the popular girls.
Yeah,
Be
yeah. Literally, she wanted
rich.
to be
Da, 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 da.
like, you know how it was for us on Friday
Yep.
when people, you could tell the girls that were going in the station wagon together to have their sleepover, and you were like, pick me, pick me. That's
Yeah.
all she wanted was
Yep.
to have the back to back sleepovers on the weekends
So I
and
think
stuff.
what she believes is if you have money, then people will be your friend. So she
Yeah,
has the money now. This is my brain works in a million
yeah,
different
yeah.
directions.
No, and it's working for me too.
Let me just say something to you really quickly. You used language. She was thrust into this wealthy enclave. Fuck no. She's been training
Yeah,
for this
yeah, yeah,
whole life.
yeah.
She's
Total.
been
Yes, you're right. You're right.
watching movies about how
Yes, yeah. She
other
has been
people
training.
behave. It's almost like the talented Mr. Ripley, where you like learn how
Yeah,
to do it so that when you finally get to Greenwich, you know how to talk and behave. She knew she wanted to be in Bellport. Her
yeah.
husband doesn't care where they live
No,
in
he really
Greenwich.
doesn't. Yeah.
He doesn't care what the club is. She's been researching this moment. This is
Yes,
her
yes. Yeah.
like, here we go, which is why um it's important that Alan stay on task with his vision
Right.
because it's very closely aligned to
Right.
hers.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
and so I don't know, is Alan a little less, which is, it conflicts a little bit, but like, is Alan a little bit more, less nuanced?
Yeah.
Okay. So he thinks he has a great marriage
Yeah.
because she makes sure that his drink is poured when he gets home. And remember, she's not like a Stepford wife. She needs to have those friends and she has to
She
have
wants
the
to
right
keep her
parent.
job. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she's got to keep her job. So, yeah, he gets the sex he needs. She probably powders her nose and changes her outfit right before he comes home from work. She
Right. She's
definitely is the
looking good.
type that maybe wakes up in the morning 5 minutes before he does so she can look like her breath
Yeah.
doesn't, like that whole kind of thing. So Alan doesn't realize there's an issue with the marriage. He feels a little bad that he's not around as much, but she is really internalizing like a man will leave you if you don't, do your part kind of a thing. And so the ultimate goal for her is what it wasn't money. It's not money. It's that money's going to buy me the opportunity to be popular with the most popular women
Yeah.
at the highest levels,
Yeah.
the highest echelons.
Um, and all of that is totally true. And then the other piece that I'm just wonky on, it doesn't feel exactly right, but it's kind of important to the narrative is that um, at the final dinner you pick a theme,
Right.
right? And so there's this theater thread running throughout where the way I have it now, growing up, again, she couldn't buy her way into the popular crowds,
Mhm.
but um, she would see that a lot of the kids were coming together to do school plays. She was too shy and embarrassed to try out. So she would do the set design. And that way she got to be there for the rehearsals and the pizza dinners and the closing parties. And like probably her first kiss was at one of these theater parties and stuff. But the way I have it now, again, I keep repeating that because this is malleable, this stuff, is that she actually showed a talent for imagining worlds. But once she got out of elementary and high school, she did not go to college.
Oh,
She went to
okay.
night school.
How did she meet Alan?
She was going to night school for hospitality. She was going to do PR for hotels, and she met him at like a conference center where
Okay,
his people
that
were
tracks. Yeah, 'cause
in
it's already in
Chicago. At
everything.
that time, they were both in Chicago. She was working during the day and then night school in Chicago, and he was in business school, and his business school was doing some sort of like module with her hotel company, whatever
Okay, that
they
makes sense.
meet. And so once she meets him, whatever was artistic and create is just freaking, it's been gone a long time, but
Yep,
he becomes her job. I'm going to help this man get to where
yep.
I'm going to art produce his life. And she's very good at art producing his life. So the Queen Anne thing, putting together this dinner, I'm going to keep the theme that she lands on secret, but it's a rather overblown production that's going to involve like a budget.
She could do it no other way. She has imposter
But she has to be
syndrome.
careful because the thing is, Alan watches the purse strings. She actually can't.
Oh,
This is one of the reasons that she hides a lot of her purchases. Is he is not down with her spending. He's on her about it. He's actually on her ass about it. So for the Queen Anne stuff, she's trying to hide. She's trying to keep it kind of under budget. But so her with her daughter Bailey, who's pretty obsessed with the theater. Um,
yeah. I was wondering
I'm
how you're
Yeah,
gonna.
I'm working toward this reinvention arc, and I am willing to tweak it because I want it to feel super earned. But Bailey starts to help her out with producing the part. They're able to kind of eh, um, come together around this like set design. But the set design thing is just like a little murky. I think it's hard to get it up for the reader to get it up for set
Well,
design.
what
I
I
don't know.
like about the set design idea, and you already said this yourself, so it's probably
Yeah.
obviously already in your brain. There's two things in here. And one is she wanted to be an actress, but she didn't have the courage. And what
Yeah.
has she grown up to be? An actress playing her part.
Very well put. Yeah.
And the set design, isn't her life the ultimate set design now?
Yes. Yeah.
I could see her
Yeah.
poring over, interior design magazines and seeing how CZ Zest had decorated her living room. And instead of it being like, this is my living room, it's like her set design version of
Yeah, yeah, that's like a state. Like she staged her
like
own.
everything. Like nothing's like, oh, I happen to like the
Oh, you've really unlocked something for me here because then instead of all the backstory being a bummer with like in this house of a hoarder and sadness and stuff, I can flash back to the Chicago years where she's prepping, where she's getting ready, where
she's
she is.
researching.
You said who? CZ Zest? Is that how you said?
CZ guest.
Oh,
She
guess.
was
Of course, of course.
okay.
You'll have to text me some other names so I can just have scenes where instead of going out to the bars with the ladies, she's saving her money and is staying home and studying like what
Sister Parish.
what Sister Parrot, what does what
Like
does a beautiful house
Go
look like?
use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, because she growing up, she wouldn't have been in these homes. She
No.
was really in lower class. So certainly there were people who had like a nice, simple home, but it was
Right.
nothing like what she's going to encounter in Greenwich. So I can even do flashbacks where she hits Greenwich and is like, I'm not prepared. I'm
Yes.
not prepared for this.
This was a whole nother
She
level.
was maybe ready for suburban Chicago, but like,
That's what I was thinking. Now I know we don't have all the time in the world, but I have
yeah,
to ask you a question that feels really important to me.
hit me. Yeah.
How did she end up in Chicago from Indiana if she's not going to college?
That I don't. You've found me out.
So here,
Je ne sais pas.
I think that
She could
hold
have
on.
gone with a man, right?
Wait for it.
I'm
This may
waiting.
not work, but I'm excited about it.
Okay, me too.
Okay. So I think one of the things that changes for Vivian in high school is that she starts babysitting for a family that's a little bit
Ooh,
higher level.
you're
And
so
she
good.
gets
Okay.
a taste for, I mean, it's not full fancy, but like they have a dining room set. Like the chairs match the table, that kind of a thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the dad is home and she starts to get a taste for what it could be like. And I think that
Uh,
the family, the dad gets promoted. Maybe he works in advertising. Maybe that's too on the nose. And she goes with them to
mm,
Chicago. But she's like, I can't babysit forever. I'm going to have to get a big girl job. So she's taking night school because why else would how
yeah.
would she have ever left her mother? With the,
Right, and Chicago's not cheap.
no, but it's not all the way there, right? And
Yeah.
they don't
Oh,
move
that's
to
really
like
good.
They don't move to like the fancy suburb. Like it's middle class.
Well, actually, this is like such a vital question you ask me, because I've worked hard on like early days and then where we meet her in the book, but I have skipped over the part that's not in the book, which you totally called me out on, which is like, how does bitch get to Chicago in the
It
first
feels
place?
juicy. And this,
That's really important. This is so good. The babysitting thing will, woo,
you're
yeah.
a writer and I am not. So this might be
No, no.
true on, but people
Yeah,
are very literal.
yeah.
So let's say all she knew was a dad that was never around and a brother that was never around and a mom who was just a disaster. And she starts babysitting for this family.
And they're not a disaster.
And yeah, they're not
So good.
fancy, but let's just say, for argument's sake, that
Yeah.
the father of that babysitting family is an ad guy.
Okay.
So she's now trying to find her ad, like she's not that creative. Like, so she's like, oh, I found my ad guy. I'll make him like,
Or he could be in marketing or something
right. He could
adjacent.
be in
Yeah.
something like that. And she watches the wife. So why does the wife need a babysitter? Who cares? Because they have enough extra money that
She's
the
sick.
wife, fine, whatever it is. And then she basically drops them like a bad habit as soon as she finds Alan at this conference situation. And I think the idea of her being in hospitality tracks because remember she's
Yeah.
trying to play a part.
Yes. Yeah. I think that somewhere I had figured out that tracks, but this is enormously helpful because that trajectory would make so much sense, because Alan has just like got into marketing, got into advertising, just working. So like his whole backstory is not, there's not like trauma.
It's not that complicated.
He's very funny and charming and all that stuff. But yeah, he's kind of like, what you see is what you get. With her, what you see is, you're not getting what you don't see,
So you
So
talked about
good.
marriage and what
Yeah.
pulled them apart and what's bringing them back together. So because Alan's a little bit more literal, he meets this, I'm sure Vivian's beautiful, right? He meets this
Well,
beautiful,
no, I mean, she's I think she's not super comfortable in her body. She's not this skinny wasp,
yeah,
that we technically
but I think
see,
she's
but beautiful. Yeah.
yeah. So Alan meets her and she's just this like, so what I think brought them together, hold on, this is going
Yeah.
to take me a second to articulate, but she had a sweetness and an earnestness to her. Maybe it was put on for her
Hmm.
to like attract Alan. So he remembers her as the woman before she was obsessed with money and before
Hmm.
she had to do da, da, da. And that's what he thinks he loves about her. Right. And what's been lost is he feels a little used. He feels a little like, he's not that comfortable.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but he now sees that, wait, maybe I think she loves me, but is it that she loves the fact that
Mm.
now we're rich? And what brings them back together is some stuff that we're not going to talk about, which has changed the dynamic and maybe requires them both to take a different look at,
Maybe we need to do another call.
yeah,
We do, don't we? Because
yeah.
this is really, I'm like, yay! Oh my god, I can actually go back and, yeah. This has been.
Okay, thank God
Will
it's
you do another one with
of
me?
course.
Okay.
Do whatever you want, whenever you want. This is
Um.
fun for me, right?
This is so helpful. So.
Good. All right, we'll do it again.
Um.
I love you. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
We're cutting right here.
We'll cut there. Oh my god, so helpful. But now you do have to do another call with me.
Okay, hang on. Stop recording.